It was Alejandro Garnacho who stole the headlines from that overhead kick against Everton at Goodison Park. I would say probably the best overhead kick I've ever seen in the Premier League. But in my opinion, it was Kobbie Mainoo who stole the show. The 18-year-old midfielder was making his full Manchester United debut, and he looked like the most experienced player on the pitch. That's how composed he was. But what I'm going to do in this video is run through the examples from the game, not just around his composure, but his willingness to receive the ball, his quality on the ball, his positions out of possession, and how everything combined made what was one of the most impressive Premier League debuts you're going to see from a United midfield academy player. Incredible. Make sure you drop a like on this video. I think you're going to enjoy this one. But from a numbers perspective, well, Kobbie Mainoo was probably the best player when he left the pitch. He was everywhere, constantly being that midfielder that we needed. And if you're looking at his position, his average position here, he operated as that deeper lying, well, I wouldn't say playmaker, but it kind of was. This was Kobbie Mainoo there. That's Bruno Fernandes just in front of him. And that's Scott McTominay over there. That's the shape that we started the season with, remember, by the way. 1 number 6, 2 number 8s. And Kobbie Mainoo was just so composed and comfortable in that position. And what I'm going to do now is run through the examples, okay? This is going to show just how impressive he was, right? So this is the first one, splitting the centre-backs and being that playmaker there. We saw this in pre-season. I remember it against Arsenal, I think it was. Kobbie Mainoo being that player who drops between the two centre-backs, receives the ball, okay? We simply haven't had the player who's going to be who should be doing that this season. I thought it was going to be Amrabat. He's not particularly done it, but Kobbie Mainoo showed it there. And the willingness to receive the ball was definitely one of the most impressive things from Kobbie Mainoo. Example here. He's a little bit further forward. He's got 2 Everton players who are between Maguire and Lindelof, but Mainoo spots it, drops into that position, and this bit here. This is a position here where typically Manchester United's midfield, it would go back to Maguire, it would go back to Lindelof, it would go back to Onana, which is not a dangerous thing to do. It's maintaining possession. But what Mainoo does, he turns on the ball. He drives through that gap and passes it off to Rashford. Was that Martial? I think it was that. No, I think that's Martial. Ball carriers. We need ball carriers. Progressors. And he progressed the ball there so brilliantly in a situation where you wouldn't have begrudged him from passing it backwards, but he had the confidence and the composure to drive into that space. And it made a big, big difference for Manchester United in this game. Another example of it here, right? Onana on the ball, Kobbie Mainoo up there. Is that James Garner he's next to? Everton have got a good pressing shape there. 3 options for United. Everton have got 3 players on there. But Kobbie Mainoo drops the shoulder, drives into that space there. All of a sudden, he's got a few yards on his man. Onana passes it to Mainoo. He stacks it. Is that James Garner stacking it? Ball goes out there to Harry Maguire. Simple. Simple run. But it's those simple things that we just haven't had from our midfielders this season. And that's what made such a big difference. And the progression. All right? This is a midfielder that our system has just not had. It's what Amrabat, I've hoped. Look, maybe Amrabat can still come good, but I think Mainoo's going to be getting in a team ahead of him here. Right? One example here. Perfect example here of what I'm talking about and what I have been talking about all season about what we've been missing. Kobbie Mainoo reads that Onana wants to... He spots the gap there, drops deep, receives the ball here, and drives into that space with the ball at his feet, progressing the ball up the field. And he tries to pass to Garnacho. If that had come off, my God, what a start that would have been 5 minutes into your full Premier League debut. Just a little bit overhit. But simply, look, 5 minutes, 28 seconds. We go back here, 5:23. So within 5 seconds of receiving the ball, well, 7 seconds from Onana having the ball at his feet, he's dropped a little bit deeper, turned on the ball, driven through the space, had the vision to try and find Garnacho, just slightly overhit. But that ball progression there, that little shoulder turn, that's what our midfielders just don't do, have not done. McTominay doesn't drop deep into that position because he doesn't like receiving the ball that deep in the pitch, and neither does Bruno Fernandes. Casemiro, he's not a ball carrier. He's just not. He'll pass the ball, and he's great at doing that, but Casemiro always looks for He's very good at doing it, but he looks for a quick pass. He will never really be the person to drive that ball forward. And that particular point there, driving into that space, that's, for me, was the most impressive thing about his debut. But there's more of it. And another example of it here, we can see, right? Onana rolls the ball out to Mainoo, and look at this one as well, right? Mainoo spots the space, drives into it, but look at this position here. 4 players around him, 4 players close Mainoo on the ball, and he finds a pass out to Garnacho. He's taken the responsibility in that situation. I mean, you haven't seen Man United midfielder in that situation very often this season and getting a positive out of it. Mainoo had the composure and the confidence that, I've got 4 players around me. That's all right. I'll still find that pass out to Garnacho. I think Roy Keane called him brave, composed. It was the biggest compliment I can give, and I've said this already, but that's just Kobbie Mainoo, right? He didn't do anything in that game that was particularly surprising. And wow, I didn't expect that. It's exactly what he did throughout his time with United's youth team. It's exactly what he did during the preseason. It's just that he continued it. And even in the biggest pressure situation for him, he delivered. All right, and there's more to it as well. And this is a big thing, right? So Kobbie Mainoo, everything that we've seen so far, because of the roles he's been playing, hasn't really been too much of a focus on how good he actually is with the ball at his feet as well. It's not just about being a first phase midfielder. And this is the thing, right? Kobbie Mainoo receives the ball here from Diogo Dalot. All right. He's over on the wing. Again, you wouldn't begrudge him if he was to turn around, pass it back to Dalot. That would be a kind of a safe option. But if he looks up a little bit, he goes, right, okay, Bruno Fernandes is there. So what Kobbie Mainoo does, plays that ball over the top. Really quite a difficult pass. Executes it perfectly. So from this situation here, one pass from Kobbie, and Man United are in behind. A chance has been created because of his vision and creativity. And that's something you are going to see more of. Right? As I said, if we scroll back here to when he drove through when Garnacho was through, that was another example of it there. There's plenty of other passes that he could do, which is simpler, but he has the vision and the confidence to try it. He may not have been able to achieve it with that pass, but you're going to see a lot more of it. And also on top of all of that was how good Kobbie Mainoo's anticipation and his discipline was, right? This, for example, here. You can see Harry Maguire at the bottom of your screen. Way out of position. Pushing up. Being aggressive. Where's Kobbie Mainoo when Harry Maguire is there? Exactly where he should be. As the deeper number 6, covering him behind so that Harry Maguire going and being aggressive, it's not going to leave a massive hole that Everton can exploit. That's just natural awareness and discipline. Okay, Harry Maguire's gone forward. That means me as a number 6, I've got to drop back and make sure I've got him covered. That's exactly what he did. Really, really smart play from him. And for a lot of people, this example is probably going to be the standout moment from that game for Kobbie Mainoo. Ball played over the top. He challenges for the header. Goes through to Calvert-Lewin. But watch what Kobbie Mainoo does here. He makes sure that he tracks. He makes sure that he follows in. Onana makes a save, gets parried out. And then Onana makes a second save. I think it hits Harry Maguire. But who's there on the line chasing in? Kobbie Mainoo. Anticipation to chase that ball in. Because from that position there, technically didn't need to. I mean, he should do. Every midfielder should. But so many times this season, it's happened at United. Midfielders not following in. And the only reason he's there at the right place at the right time is because of the anticipation, and he followed it in. That, for a lot of people, as I said, was the most impressive part of that game. But Kobbie Mainoo overall, look, when he was taken off, he had the most passes on the pitch, most dribbles. He was everything that we need in a number 6. It's a position where they don't need to be the star of the show, but they have to make the team just work better. So much better. Now, Kobbie Mainoo, I think, kind of was a little bit of both yesterday. He was that glue in the middle that brought everyone together. He allowed us to play out from the back with so much more confidence. He also brought the ball forward. He also covered him behind when somebody stepped out of position. He also had the vision to actually create chances on top of all of that. Now, everyone's going to get Really excited. But I think the excitement around Mainoo is both justified and real. In the same way that Garnacho was a star when he left that FA Youth Cup team, and he's proven that. And that was a goal of the highest quality from Garnacho. Mainoo is a midfield star. The fact that he looks so composed, it goes to show why we were all so devastated when he got injured against Real Madrid. Maybe that's how he could have been playing all season. But it doesn't matter about the past now. Part 1 of the season is over. Part 2 of the season has begun with Kobbie Mainoo as part of it. I think it was a fantastic... I don't think really you could ask for much more from an 18-year-old playing at Goodison Park on that day and that occasion with a 10-point deduction, and he played like that. No wonder Roy Keane praised him. I think you should be too. You let me know what you think about Kobbie's debut in the comments below. But I'm looking forward to, just as last season was Garnacho's breakthrough season, this is Mainoo's breakthrough season. And he's broken through.